I don't know what's happening here. My
Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you at all. Oh no.
I don't
Oh,
know what just happened.
you're back.
Okay, it's my connection just went screwy and the intro didn't play and then I couldn't see or hear either of us. And then the intro just started playing randomly.
We got there. We made it.
Yeah, it's like it's summertime. I don't know, like my connection just doesn't want to work as efficiently. Who knows? Welcome back, everybody. If you're new here,
Hello.
welcome. We are recapping the TV show From, which honestly, I'm not even kidding, has become my favorite TV show now.
Yay!
It really has. Like I just and you know what's funny? I remembered the other day that I had actually watched like the first, I think, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 episodes or something because it was free on
Mhm.
Prime. And this was like after I think this was when the first season had just come out. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't get into it. And like and now like
We
I
should
mean,
really
I was
try.
hooked from the first episode this time around. So, I don't know. I guess I just wasn't in the mood for it. I don't know.
I had someone recommend it to me on the Yellow Jackets page, and I was like, Harold Pirino? Yeah. I was hooked from the jump, but I got into it when both seasons had been completed and out. So
Yeah. I'm still a little surly about the fact that this is the first show to come around in quite a long time that has me standing all the male characters.
it has been a minute.
I
Television has
know.
had some
Like
despicable men.
I just Boyd and Jade, those 2 characters I just can't get enough of. Like I just
I
love
was
them.
having that moment in that episode when I was rewatching this one for today, where it's like, Boyd is what a well-written, well-rounded male character. Like
Yeah.
leader,
Yeah.
dad, like he's got it going on.
Yeah. He's basically the if you could pick the exact person that you would want as your father,
Mhm.
he's like it. Pretty much.
Yes.
What a
Absolutely.
what a guy. But, yeah, I wanna point something out that I just actually learned about that and I'm gonna assume that you probably already knew this, but in the pilot episode, I didn't realize that the guy at the door with the shotgun was Dale,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
just recast him.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't remember them saying his name.
No, they don't ever
Um,
say his name.
yeah,
I didn't
I just said annoying
It makes
shotgun
total
dude or
sense, but I don't think I put that together before you said it just now.
Yeah,
Because 'Cause they're, like,
yeah,
in the
apparently that was
same
Dale.
gear. They have the same attitude. Excuse my slushy mouth,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
I'm celebrating today.
Um, yeah, that happens a lot where actors will get replaced after the pilot for whatever reason, like,
Mhm.
availability or things change, whatever, I don't know.
Also, like, you might
Um,
shoot a pilot and then the show might not be picked up for a year or 2, like,
yeah,
it's a great
yeah.
business. Let me not let me not smack talk my livelihood too much, but, yeah,
Exactly.
it
Um,
can be a little.
so this episode is called Silhouettes, and this marks the halfway point of season 1. Um, the synopsis reads, Jim, Tabitha, and Ethan begin asking questions about where they are in hopes that it may lead them home. Ellis and Fatima show Julie the lighter side of death in town. Jade struggles to make sense of their situation as Boyd seeks guidance. Um, I have to say something funny about because we saw the Brundles for the first time
Mhm,
in this episode. I wasn't like I usually watch TV with the closed captioning on,
mhm.
and I didn't the first time I watched this episode for whatever reason, and I thought they were saying Grundles, and, like, here's me trying like, here's me trying to, like, figure out every little thing in the show, and so I Google
The Grundles?
Grundle, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's actually a thing, and I don't think it's related."
Yeah. I hope they're not playing in the Grundles.
Oh god. Yeah, yeah,
Make it a different kind of show.
I need to study up on my Urban Dictionary a little Oh, man. Um, well, yeah, why don't we jump into it?
All right. The episode opens with Nathan. He's feeding them goats. Apparently he takes care of all of the animals in town, which I feel like is a small we'll get to it when we get to it, but who's doing
Shout
that
out
later
to Alma's
on?
agent because
Mhm.
Alma, like, Alma really got really got, like, the lead role as far as all the animals go.
Yeah. Um, another resident runs up to the gate to let Nathan know that something's happening with Sarah. She has been taken to the clinic. Um, we move over to the clinic where Christy's giving Sarah a checkup. Uh, Sarah's saying she feels fine now, but Christy insists on keeping her there overnight. Sarah agrees, but asks that Nathan be kept away. She says for her to tell him that she's sleeping, which I find a little odd, but we know everything about Sarah is a
Yeah.
little odd. Boyd arrives to check on her, and he asks Christy questions about the tremors in his hands that I don't know if we mentioned in the podcast, but he started experiencing tremors in his hand while he was rebuilding the box in the last episode. And it's a much more
Yeah,
important
yeah,
plot point in this episode. So she tells him that she's going to check him out later because Nathan arrives at the clinic insisting to see Sarah, and Boyd kind of shoos him away and tells him to come back in the morning. You can tell that Nathan's growing a lot in concern about Sarah and the situation and what's happening with her. Um,
yeah.
he also asks Nathan if there's anything else that he needs to know about the situation with Sarah, and Nathan kind of hesitates for a minute and I think debates on telling Boyd, but then declines. We move on to the Matthews house. Ethan is asking his parents if Sarah is going to be okay, and his concern is very precious considering where this is all going.
Yes. Yeah, for
they
sure.
they reassure him that Christy's taking care of him, and that Christy obviously just saved Ethan's life, so that gives him a lot of reassurance. Jim says they're going to play a game, and he invites Tabitha and Ethan over to the wall in the hallway and starts to write on the wall with a marker. The first thing that he writes is "Where are we?" and draws a line under it. And so they're going to start trying to come up with all the questions that they can think of to write on the wall about their situation. We move on to Nathan's house
Where
where
does
he
Jade
has
keep his Coke?
yeah, that's a good question. He's definitely using it. We move on to Nathan's, and he has Sarah's bloody dress from her murdering Toby laid out on the bed. He's kind of just staring at it and contemplating his actions, and that takes us to the credits. I feel like Nathan's actor,
This
the actor
show
that played
has the
Nathan, never really got.
longest Oh,
credit
we got
sequence?
a little bit of a delay today, it seems.
Ah,
Yeah, this show has the longest, the show has the longest cold opens. Well, not
yeah.
I'm sorry, not cold opens. Yeah, the previously on, that's what it has. That's what it has the longest of, the
I
previously
feel like
ons.
it's
The cold opens
they do
are
a
fine, but
nice job because it is a tough show to kind of sum up quickly in a few scenes,
yeah.
but they are quite long. The time from like
Yeah.
starting the episode to getting to the credits is significant. I feel like the credits start, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah, for sure.
yay, credits.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
was gonna say, I feel like the actor that played Nathan hasn't gotten like a ton to do, but he like stands out in this episode. He does like a nice job, and yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But credits to
Yeah,
that guy. He's a good actor. I should have written his
yeah.
name down. At the clinic, Christy
Oh god, I
catches
forgot.
Sarah.
It's Paul. Yeah, it's Paul Zino? Paul Zano? Because I actually looked him up because I thought he looked like
Mhm.
somebody, but I couldn't figure out who it was. Um, but yeah, it's like Paul, I think it's Zino. I'll look
Hmm.
that up. I'll look it up. Go
We'll find it,
ahead.
and then I'll give him a proper cheers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
at the clinic, Christy catches Sarah staring at her medical tools. Sarah is memorizing the words "kill the boy" being burned into her arm at the diner in the previous episode. I don't know if it's burned or if it's like, to me, it looks like scarification, like it had been cut into her arm
Yeah.
or something, but then
Yeah.
that is a effective and horrifying special effect that
Yeah.
they used there.
Oh
Um,
my god, seriously.
yeah, remembering the words "kill the boy" appearing on her arm. Christy offers her a cup of tea and they sit down to chat. Sarah tells Christy that she and Kenny make a really cute couple, and Christy says that they're just friends. Sarah asks why when Kenny's so obviously in love with her. uh, Christy explains that she has a fiance waiting for her back home, a woman named Marielle. Um, Sarah asks Christy if she has to do one bad thing, but it would get everyone home. Would she do it? Christy asks her if she means hypothetically and tries to, assume that Sarah's just being weird. It seems like people are kind of used to that from Sarah. But Christy says, yeah, she would do it. Doing one bad thing to get everyone home would do a lot of good to balance that out. So she's kind of unknowingly giving Sarah this comfort about her decision on whether or not to murder Ethan.
Yeah. By the way, in this scene, one thing that stood out to me is, there are letters, cursive letters hanging on the wall, and, like, the letters of the alphabet,
Hmm.
and there are some letters missing, and the ones that are missing spell out Victor's name.
Ooh, in the
Yeah.
hospital?
Yeah.
I have to look for that. I totally missed that.
Yeah, they're the only letters missing, and yeah, it's just the Victor. Everything else is up there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I got super sucked into that scene because there's very few scenes in the show where there's just two women talking.
Yeah.
Like there's like, unless it's like Julie and Tabitha, but usually it's not even just the two of them. But I was like, I think that's maybe only the second one that's happened so far besides Tabitha and Donna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, um, at the Matthews house, Tabby asks Jim if he's solved the puzzle. Jim says no. And Tabitha asks how writing questions on the wall is going to help. He basically says, they're laying it all out there so they can see everything that they need to like work on. She says there's a question that they haven't asked yet, and Jim prompts her to write it on the wall, but she says no because she doesn't want to know the answer. We move back to the clinic. It's the next morning. Sarah thanks Christy for her help and says that she enjoyed having a girls' night with her, which I thought was cute.
Yeah.
Christy agrees and tells her to come by anytime, and they're approached by Nathan. Nathan tries to get Sarah to like come home and talk with him about what's happening with her, but she kind of refuses and just tells him she's got to get to work, so she takes off and leaves him behind to worry. We move on to Colony House, where Julie is making a list of all the people who would be worried about her family being missing, which I feel like they say it. That's something everyone does at some point when they get there, but
Yeah.
pretty reasonable response for
Yeah.
once from Julie.
Yeah, definitely.
Fatima tells her that everyone starts making those lists at some point and asks Julie if she has a boyfriend or girlfriend. Very thoughtful of her. Back home that would be worried about her. Julie's clearly showing some like depression, and she says no, that she doesn't have anyone like that. Fatima tells her to get dressed and to meet her downstairs. They move outside to Ellis, who is building some kind of like Mad Max Fury Road shield. I don't know what he's working on. It's just a giant metal. Yeah. He's like wearing like steampunk goggles and a bandana, and like I'm dying to know what he's actually making, but beyond the point. Fatima tells him that Julie has started making the lists and says that it's time to show her the Brundles.
The Brundles, not the Grundles.
The Brundles. Important distinction.
Yes. Oh, man.
On the road in town, Jade's carrying the radio and ranting to himself. Clearly enjoying some high quality cocaine. I'm just saying.
Still wearing the same shirt.
Yeah, it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
He's just carrying the radio and like bugging. When he's approached by Trudy tells him that she watched over him while he was sleeping, and she's disappointed that he chose town over Colony House. I'm just going to say that she aggressively insinuates that she would like to get to know Jade better. Not going to repeat.
I think Jade was a little terrified.
Yeah. I was like, sis. Okay.
Oh my God. She was so happy with herself.
Mm-hmm. She was like, oh, yeah.
Oh man. She's great.
Yeah, she's funny. She's a great character.
Yeah.
We move on to the sheriff's station. Kenny enters with a takeout box full of breakfast items that his mom's made for the sheriff. He's talking things over with Boyd, letting him know that Sarah's okay, and Boyd is just staring at the map of pin locations where everyone's driven in from. Kenny can tell that something's wrong, and kind of tries to check in with Boyd, and Boyd lets him know that Kenny asks Kenny to hold down the fort while he goes and visits his wife. Is this the first that we hear about Abby?
No. Well, this is we found out her name this time around, but
yeah.
Or no, I think it is, because I think when Father Cotchery was talking to him when he was repairing the box, I think he just mentioned his grief.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually mentioned anything about his wife.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Said, he doesn't have the luxury of grieving. So you knew that he lost somebody, but I think that's it.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I thought back on it and I can't think of she's been referenced at all up to this point. Jade enters the former gas station, now bar. He is irritated that the people from Bill are just chilling in their makeshift bar and not, I guess, sitting around doing science. I'm not really sure what he expects everybody to do.
Listen, I would hang out with Tom all day.
Yeah,
Tom
Tom
seems like a
seems
cool guy.
great. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan. The fact that he was like, I looked around and I was like, well, we don't need a gas station. What we do need is a potato vodka dispensary. Like,
Yeah. And
good point.
he's a philosophy
Philosophy
professor.
professor. Yeah.
Like
Good
I
dude.
would talk philosophy with him all day.
A philosophy professor that also knows how to make moonshine.
Yeah.
That just seems like a good time.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, I've got the kitten in here today and
Oh.
she's wildin'. Um, Tom, the
Very nice.
bartender, greets Jade and asks him if he's one of the people from the two cars. Jade kind of complains about how everyone's sitting around kind of drinking and chilling and calls everyone rats in a maze, dibbling at cheese. He says that he needs to know where they are in order for them to be able to get out. He needs to be able to understand the paradox that they're experiencing in order to solve it. He starts throwing darts at the dartboard in his little like rant, comparing it to how they're blindly guessing, like blindly throwing darts, and starts freaking out the patrons. So Tom settles him down, and they sit to drink what Jade mournfully refers to as potato piss wine.
The way
Uh,
he spit that drink out beautifully.
oh yeah,
It was perfect.
they did a nice job with that.
Oh.
I love that someone is making moonshine in
Yeah.
Frontville. I think that's a good and important job to have in a situation where people are in high stress.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um, Tom tells him that the paradox that they're in is Schrodinger's cat, and that the people of the town are the cat, and the town itself is the box. He also tells Jay that if he's so smart, he should be able to get the radio working and let the people outside of the world know that the people in the box are still there. I feel like this provides Jade with a good little bit of inspiration. He kind of perks up and gets ready to go run off ranting somewhere else. um, Outside, we see Sarah kind of menacingly approaching the Matthews house. Upstairs, Tabby is dressing Ethan's leg wound. She has kind of like a concerned look on her face and is surprised by how quickly it's healing. Ethan asks her if that's a bad thing, and she says no. And he asks maybe if one of the questions on the wall should be, is anyone trying to help us? Jim yells from downstairs that Ethan has a visitor and announces that Sarah has arrived.
Yeah. Is this the first time, right, that we saw somebody healing abnormally quickly? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it happens a couple of other times, but this is, I mean,
Yeah.
the kid had a table leg through his leg.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
should be in much worse shape doing more than hobbling around on a crutch that he's barely using.
I'm gonna pick up this kitten. Excuse me for
Okay.
1 second. Never mind. It's not happening.
Now, I have a yeah, so Sarah shows up and they go outside to play on that rusty that rusty merry-go-round.
That shot is like one of the best they've done so far, of like Ethan running to the merry-go-round, and it keeps the camera steadily on Sarah's face while she sits down and starts to spin. That is such a well done shot. It looks so good. It's so creepy, like knowing her intent and like what's happening. And yeah, really, really well done making Sarah seem menacing when she's such a like wayfish,
Yeah.
skinny little thing.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I just don't understand what like, Tabitha had some common sense here because, they don't really have, like I don't know what their medical supplies are like, but, they don't wanna be getting tetanus from that from that
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
I would not be going near that.
Mm-mm. It is very rusty.
Yes. Um, but, yeah, so, meanwhile, Nathan is on a spiritual quest of sorts, looking for Father Kotri, and, he ends up finding him outside. Um, then we shoot over to the Brundles,
Mhm.
not the Grundles. Um,
Brundles.
and, basically, it's like the town hangout spot. It's just this nice little swimming area,
Does
this little lake.
everyone use the Brundles, or is it just Colony House? Is
I would
everyone welcome
assume I would
to
assume that
come to the
everybody
Brundle?
does.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wondered if that
Um,
was one of the house exclusive things,
yeah.
but
Yeah, you don't really like, it's interesting though because you don't really see it anywhere.
mhm. It doesn't come
Um,
back much, like, I
yeah,
feel
I
like
don't
it'll
think
be
we see it again until season 2.
yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Um, but, yeah, Julie's just kind of amazed, like, she's stuck in this weirdness and here's this, like, nice little oasis of normalcy.
Mhm. People
And,
just having a good day.
yeah, and, she's just like Fatima's just living her best life, and Julie's like, "How like, how do you do that? How can you just pretend that everything's okay?" And she basically just, she explains she kind of fills Julie in on her past trauma that has kind of, like, allowed her to deal with things better, deal with
Yeah.
traumatic situations better.
I kind of, like so that there's that argument I've seen people say it online, like, at least in Fromville, you kind of know exactly where the monsters are and how to
Yeah.
avoid them. Like, at this point, post Boyd, now that we have talismans, the electricity's free, the water's free, you can't hang outside after dark. So it doesn't sound that terrible. Like, in
No,
comparison, there
I would
are
totally
a
live in
lot of
Fromville.
worse places.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, agreed.
could
Um,
be like Dayton, Ohio. Like, it could be much worse.
yeah. Yeah. I would totally live in Fromville. I would just
Yeah.
miss the internet and my favorite TV shows
Yeah.
and podcasts.
That's downside.
Yeah.
If they can
Um,
get that Wi-Fi working,
yeah.
get me a house in town.
But, yeah, so basically, Fatima grew up in Iran, and it was a really sad story. Like, her father was a
Yeah.
cleric, and, it was her birthday, and these guys came in and dragged him out and killed him on her birthday. Um,
Yeah.
but, so she's lived through some pretty intense trauma, so, this is, like, a little easier for her to stomach than somebody who
Yeah.
probably hasn't been through much.
Yeah.
Um, but,
She's like, "This place is basically safe."
yeah, exactly. Um, so, Ellis, the life of the party, decides Fatima's looking a little too dry for her own good and scoops her up like a sack of potatoes and and runs toward the water for her.
A gorgeous
Um,
sack of potatoes.
yes, yes. A flawless, beautiful sack of potatoes with the most gorgeous head of hair I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Um, but, so Tabitha's watching Ethan and Sarah kinda bonding like long lost BFFs,
Mhm.
and, they're they're just Ethan and Sarah are kind of engaging in this friendly game of, "Hey, how long have you been stuck here?" Um, and Sarah, basically says she's only been there for a couple months, so she hasn't been there for very long, and, Ethan tells her that his parents are trying to crack the code to get everyone back home,
Mhm.
So they're, as they're chatting, Tabitha comes out and she's like having all the sense, telling them, "Hey, that thing's a little rusty. Maybe you shouldn't be risking getting tetanus."
Yeah.
But Sarah tells her that she that Nathan takes care of the animals in town and the animals that mysteriously appear out of nowhere, and said that she thought it might be fun to take Ethan over there to go see him. And Tabitha decides to tag along, and which Sarah was,
Like a genius.
yeah. Sarah
Mhm.
was kind of hoping that wouldn't happen, but she did.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sorry. Somebody says there are goats, I'm going.
Yeah, right? Like, I also would like to see the animals, thank you.
Yes.
Rude.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jim is just kind of left there by himself to stare at the wall of questions like a confused museum goer. Um but so then we cut to Boyd, who's having a heart to heart with his wife Abby's grave, and it's really sweet. He lays down some flowers, and he's he's filling Abby's grave in on all the town drama, and
It's such a
yeah,
good scene.
yeah,
It's whoo, he's
yeah,
so good. Like, the fact that it's just him talking to a headstone,
yeah,
such a good
yeah.
scene.
He's fantastic. I'm happy anytime Boyd is on the screen. I'm happy.
Mhm.
um, but he fills her. He says that he's starting to get tremors. Um, so it's just a matter of time by now. But he says, you know, he's no worries. He's got this harebrained scheme to save the day, whatever that might be. And but he says that she was always the decisive one in the relationship, and he's like, she always told him that sometimes you got to swing big, baby. And
Mhm.
he said he just needs a sign. He says he'll swing, he'll take that swing. He just needs a sign. And so then we cut back to Nathan and Father Katri, and Nathan's asking him about the rules of confession, and Katri assumes God's the only one taking notes. Nobody else needs to know. And Nathan's like, okay, well, how much can God handle? Can he handle something super nefarious? and and it kind of cuts away there. But
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them stay on that to see like exactly what he told
Yeah.
Father Katri as kind of
Yeah,
the
I don't like,
signs.
because how much does he actually know? Like,
Yeah.
what has Sarah actually told him?
Yeah.
Other than he knows for sure she left the door open at the hospital. But
Yeah.
besides that, like, does he know that she killed Toby?
Or
This,
that
like,
she's going to kill Ethan,
yeah, that she's
you
being
know?
told to kill other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Um, so we go back to the barn, and Sarah's introducing Alma to Tabitha and Ethan. And Sarah and Tabitha are chatting, just kind of having a heart to heart about the town. And this might sound a little odd, but like I really noticed I'm sorry, I'm still trying to remember everybody's names. Catalina, I remember her first name, the actress that plays Tabitha.
Mhm.
Um, like, I really liked her acting in the scene. I just thought she was so, like, so casual and just, like, I mean,
Mhm.
she just seemed like they were just 2 people, 2 random real people having a conversation, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I thought the Sarah also was really great. Like, giving, like, cash evil, like, not like, she's up to no good, and like she's coming up with it on the spot, and like she just
yeah,
well, both of them together was a great scene for,
Yeah.
like, something very until, like, the very end, anything, like, happens, you know? It's mostly just a conversation. It's a great
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, it's, Sarah says it's something about getting used to it, and Tabitha's like, "I don't wanna get used to it." Um, but, Sarah tells her that there are some secret hiding spots around the town from back when they used to have to hide every night. God, I
Mhm.
talk about traumatic, like, having to
Mhm.
without the talismans, having to just pick a hiding spot and just hope that you
Hope that
survive
you make it,
every
yeah.
night, every single night.
It really makes me wonder how many people get brought into town because we never get, like, a firm answer on that, and, like,
Yeah.
if they're losing people every, night or every other night, they have to be constantly getting new people in, you know, like, every couple days.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it happens that often.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so she tells her that there's one of those spots is in the barn, and she offers to show her the barn's own panic room. And Tabitha's like, "Okay, yeah, let's go." We go back to Nathan and Father Khatri, and Khatri seems very upset. He tells Nathan that he should have told him sooner. Again, still wishing that they wouldn't have cut that part out. Um,
Mhm.
but they take off, and like I just it bothered me so much that they cut that part of the conversation out, because I'm like, why are they taking off so quickly? Where are they going? What's happening? What like
Mhm.
um but so back at the barn, Sarah is shoving Tabitha quite roughly into the barn panic
Panic
room.
hole, yeah.
Yeah. And Tabitha's screaming and banging on the door, but Sarah has locked her inside. So there she moves on to her victim, Ethan. Um, and she tells him that he will be the hero in this horror story. She's like, what's about to happen? You're gonna save everybody. But Ethan realizes right away something's off,
Mhm.
something's
When she
afoot.
comes
This
back without her mom,
Yeah,
without his mom, yeah.
yeah.
He's
And
like, "No."
he starts screaming, "Where's my mom? I want my mom." Um, and Katri and Nathan combine. I think Boyd comes by around the same time too. And or I don't know, somebody tells her, I didn't write this part down, but somebody tells her to
Mhm.
run, or tells him to run, Ethan.
Nathan tells Ethan to run.
Oh, Nathan does. Okay.
Yeah,
Um and yeah, he kicks her in the leg. And what a smart kid.
yeah.
Kind of fearless.
He's a good little
But
boy.
yeah. He kicks her in the leg and just takes off running. And Nathan is trying to, like, bring Sarah back to sanity, and she, I don't know if he realized that she had a knife in her hand at that point, but she moves her arm and she accidentally slices his throat.
The world's strongest scalpel, you mean?
Oh, that was
Like,
a scalpel. Okay.
yeah.
Oh
She
my
stole the
god.
scalpel from Christy.
Ugh.
Like, the depth of the cut and the efficiency, like, and the
Yes.
blade didn't snap. And I know it's TV and you gotta suspend your disbelief somewhat, but I was like, that's a real good scalpel.
Yeah.
I should market
Yeah, for
that.
sure. And this is the second episode in a row where I had some deja vu from Walking Dead, because this same exact thing happened in The Walking Dead,
Mhm.
where a character was trying to kill Rick and accidentally sliced somebody else's throat by mistake, as someone else was trying to hold him back. But yeah, so very sad. Nathan is dead, and Sarah's
Yeah.
screaming, and which is, like, really sad. I mean, even, it's even though Sarah is trying to kill this innocent little kid
Mhm.
and was responsible for Kenny's dad dying and, like, you still can't help but feel bad for her.
Yeah, she's not doing the things because she wants to, like,
Right,
it's not she's not evil. She's
right.
just both being controlled by a powerful outside force and really wants to get everyone home, like,
Yeah,
she's, like even though what she's doing is awful, she's very empathetic.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, but, so, the whole town has gathered around by this
Mhm.
point because not quite
The
sure why.
commotion, yeah, I'm guessing
Um,
just
yeah, they must have just been all out
mhm. It seems
at
like
this
everyone's
point.
just walking a loop around the town all day when they're not busy, so
Yes. But, I think this is the first scene where I noticed that the women in the town wear a lot of really long dresses and skirts.
yeah, it's a little,
Like
like, Mennonite-y, like
yeah.
yeah,
It makes me
got
wonder
that
about the people that
vibe.
used to live there that 'cause I'm sure they're not wearing
You
their own
like,
clothes.
whoever whenever you drive in, like, all you have is whatever's in your car, so, like, maybe if you're lucky, you're going on a trip and you have, like, a suitcase like the Matthews, but, like,
Yeah.
if you're just going to 7-Eleven and you end up in Fromville and all you have is what you're wearing, like, you're gonna be
Yeah.
having some 50s ass wardrobe because, like, you're gonna have to rely on whatever's left over in town, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's to be fair, they're probably the easiest thing to wear, um, because they don't have to, like it's harder to wear pants that aren't made to fit that
Yeah,
aren't in your size,
yeah,
and, people are gonna be too short, too tall, too skinny, too big, like,
mhm,
they're gonna have to make do with whatever they find. They're gonna be having to squeeze into things, they're gonna be having to, like, cinch things, so,
yeah.
like,
Skirts are easy to make
dressing
too, so
yeah, yeah, exactly. That I could definitely see that. Um, but, yeah, so everybody is gathered around for this horrible this horrible event.
yeah.
Um, but, back at the, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Before we get to the Matthews house, Boyd and Kotri are standing together, and Jim comes up to them, and, he's like, "Where is she?" And, like, how are they supposed to know? Like,
Yeah.
Do you know where she is, Jim?"
His expectations seem a little out of out of focus here because, like, him getting mad at them for what happened, like, I understand he's angry because it's his kid and his wife and, but, like, how are they supposed to know that
Yeah.
she was gonna do that? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
he's being unfair.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, they had a very reasonable answer. They're like,
Mhm.
"If she comes back before sundown, we'll deal with it. And if she doesn't, then it's handled.
Yeah,
Monsters will get
exactly.
her." But, so back at the Matthews home, um, they're, they're complimenting Julie on her crisis management skills, which was nice.
Yeah.
Um, but, Tabitha, Tabitha then sends Julie and Ethan upstairs, and Julie is like, "Yeah, I'll read you the crumb what's it," which was cute. And, Tabitha finally decides to write down her question on the wall, and, which she didn't wanna do earlier. And her question was, "Did we survive the crash?" Dun, dun, dun.
That's a damn good question, girl. Not gonna
Yes.
lie.
Yeah, yeah. I hope that they did, and this isn't gonna be
They
a re
have to because not everyone crashes. Like,
yeah,
most people get there without incident, so you have to assume if the rest of the people in Frontville are alive and didn't arrive there crashing, that they're also alive.
yeah,
For me, that's yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, So in the diner, Boyd finds Christy, who's basically just having a bit of an existential crisis. And she's, you know, she's kind of she's not having a good time. She's like Sarah, she tells him that Sarah was grilling her about going home and like what would you do and Sarah's like I basically gave her permission.
Yeah.
Um and which like it's obviously not Christy's fault, but I could totally
Yeah.
understand her feeling that way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be hard for me not to blame myself in the same situation, like, knowing
Yeah.
that I had just spoken with her like that.
Yeah.
That's a tough spot for Christy. I feel bad for her, like,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
But fortunately Boyd's there to tell him that,
Yeah. Be the
she's
perfect leader/dad.
yeah. I know.
Give her that little pep
We
talk.
all we all need a Boyd in our lives.
Yeah. When he took her hands, I mean, like, granted, I'm, like, on the knife's edge of emotion all the time lately, but
Yeah.
he's, like, taking her hands and telling her, like, "You saved a boy's life, and you're gonna save a lot more lives." And I was like, "Yes, she is."
Yeah,
Sweet hero.
that's pretty much how I feel about half the time that he's on screen.
Mhm.
Um, but, yeah, so, he tells her to cut herself some slack. Um, and then suddenly the jukebox kicks in with playing Lyle Lovett's "If I Had a Boat," and Boyd's face lights up and says, "I just found my sign." And, he's found his burning bush. Um,
Mhm.
and I gotta tell you, like, oh my I'm so annoyed with this song.
It's not right.
I feel like we hear it a million times in the show, but I think we only hear it a couple times. I've just watched the
Yeah.
show so many times that, like that I feel like I hear it too often.
I get it. I get the use of it in context of the show, but it's not a banger.
Yeah. No,
I
it's
wouldn't
not.
put it on a mixtape.
So, um, this isn't really spoilery, so I can talk about this. About my one of my theories here. So I have a theory about why Boyd wanted a boat. Um, I mean, that's a little spoilery, but we'll get to that later because he
Mhm.
wanted a boat and, there was a boat bought for him for his retirement present. And, it's he was there's a scene that we get. If you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, then just drop out here. But it's not an important spoiler. But like I think it's either the next episode or the one after that. We get a flashback of him and Abby and Ellis
Mhm.
driving. And "If I Had a Boat" is on the radio. And um he starts like this is like his favorite song. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Listen to how awesome that sounds. I want a boat so bad. I want to have a pony on a boat." And and I I have I have a theory that the reason that for obviously the boat and his desire to have a boat and the song are tied together. Um, but my theory is that the boat my theory is that the boat kind of relates to Noah, like Noah's Ark.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff in the Book of Enoch, which I became obsessed with
Mhm.
several years ago and recently became obsessed with again. And there's it's kind of like the story of Noah is in there from like it's a bit different than what we hear about, but we get the flood and I mean, I think it's possible that there could be some kind of natural disaster, in the town
That would be
or
interesting.
yeah, or like,
I
some
mean,
kind of
well,
I can't imagine the Brundles flooding
yeah.
flooding the
This
town.
is people have already dropped out if they don't want spoilers. So we have that big storm at the end of the season that like
Yes.
blows up. Like it seems that there is some amount of control someone has over everything that's happening.
Mhm.
Not necessarily every, but there's like the once they got close to completing their project, once they got close to finishing the radio tower, that storm picked up like immediately. You know,
Yeah.
it's just there's definitely like room for something like that to have some insane natural disaster to wipe a bunch of people out or something.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
I agree. Um, but, uh but yeah, it's, there like, I I really am hooked on the I'm really stuck on the whole biblical thing, like, just there are just too many hints at it for me,
Mm-hmm.
um, for my liking, like, it just it has to even if the whole thing isn't Bible related, I mean, it's gotta be, like it has to have taken some inspiration from it,
Oh, for
I don't know,
sure. I definitely think
um,
so.
but yeah, so I think that's why why the whole boat thing is involved. Just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. It's a good
But
opinion.
but I don't think the characters talk enough about the jukeboxes, like, just randomly going off.
Yeah, they're just like they do that.
Yeah.
Like, why though? No one wants to think about that part.
Yeah, and the songs that the jukeboxes used to
Mm-hmm.
play. It's interesting. Last Train to Clarksville, we hear "Blue" by Joni Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we hear, what's the Neil Young song that we hear later at the end of the season?
Oh,
Oh, wait, is it "Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere" or
that
the
sounds
name
right to me.
yeah, yeah, the title is something like that. But, yeah, so it's interesting. Something else that's interesting to me is, like I mean, we can talk about this when we get the flashback. We can talk more about this when we get the flashback of Boyd and his family, but, um, it seems like from what I've seen of the Stevens family coming into Fromville and the Matthews family coming into Fromville, it seems like they either the cutoff is very, very sudden, like, just super sudden, like, you're passing by your friend's house, and then a second later, you're in Fromville.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it seems like it's either that or, like, where Fromville extends further than people think, like, 'cause it seems like everybody passes by different things, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as they're coming in. Um, I would really who would you most like to see a flashback for that we haven't seen on the show yet?
Ooh, maybe Donna, but we kind of know her backstory. Maybe Jade. I would like
Yeah,
some more context on like he talks about how he sold his company for all that money. Like I would like to know more about what he actually did
yeah,
and how it can be used to get them out. That's a good
yeah.
question.
I I would like to, I'd like to see a flashback of the Liu family
Mhm.
since they all came in together, you
Yeah.
know? Like, where were they going? Were they taking a trip? Were they, like,
They
just
were bringing his dad back from
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
from his
gotcha.
they he, yeah, he mentions that early on that his dad got
Okay.
out in one of his,
Okay.
like, dementia frantic moments, and they were
Okay.
bringing him home. So they were, like, not in an unfamiliar area even, I don't think,
Yeah.
when they got brought in. They were just, like, coming from the city back to their house because they said their dad took a bus, so they're not more than, like, several bus stops from home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and Christy was just going to meet her girlfriend for lunch,
Yeah.
or her fiancé. Yeah. So I mean, like one thing that kind of bugs me is I mean, not that it would be a great thing because it would be tragic, but, um, it kind of bugs me that we haven't seen anybody yet that, like, some parent was on their way to pick up their kid from school and ended up in Frumville, and, they have kids that they can't get back to, you know?
Mhm.
Um, like, they have a whole family that they can't get back to. Um, it would,
It
I think
seems like
what
it
would be
brings a lot of families and, like, people
yeah,
together, like, Donna and her sister, or Boyd, Amy, and Ellis, the Lous, like, they all, Nathan and Sarah came together. Like, it seems like they bring in like, clusters of people more often.
yeah, yeah, as far as we know, Christy and Fatima both came in by themselves.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you're right, I hadn't thought about that. Like, Jade came in with his friend,
Yeah.
Katri came in by himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like it seems like the town I feel like the town chooses a particular person, and then
Mhm.
whoever they're with is just, like, a
This when
innocent
Ethan
victim.
says in this episode, "Is somebody helping?" I'm wondering
Yeah.
if maybe, like, Lost has the 2 when you get to the end of Lost, which, that they have the 2, like, gods who are brothers, and, like, is there, like, a good side that gets to choose one and the bad side gets to choose one?
Yeah.
How does it work, how they pick people? Because it does seem just, like, send them what they need, like, they needed a medical professional and they got Christy, like, they needed leadership and they got Boyd, like, it seems like there is some level of, like, benevolentness that's there trying to help keep the people there, give them something to keep them going, or is that just the overall, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like evil trying to like keep their like on some level, like I'm like, are these people just like livestock for these monsters and they're just trying to keep their like herd healthy, or is it actually like, there's something bad and something good and they're fighting each other for
Yeah.
control of this place? There's so many questions.
Yeah, another trend is it seems like a lot of the residents are, like, have just had some major change in their life
Hmm.
happen, whether for the good or bad. Like, Jade sold his company, which is what he had wanted for, his whole life,
Hmm.
and Bacta had just paid off her tuition, and, she was gonna quit her job driving the bus, and, um,
Hmm.
yeah, unfortunately, it's just a little too late. And, yeah, and the Matthews were getting a divorce. Boyd was celebrating retirement, like,
Yeah.
and Katri had that whole thing happen I mean, Katri was, like, trying to commit suicide, basically,
Yeah.
after the incident with the boy, and, yeah, so it's interesting. I don't as far as I know, I don't think Christy I don't know that I don't know, maybe Christy had just gotten engaged.
Yeah, we don't know how long they've been together.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I find that really interesting too. As far as we know, Donna, that wasn't necessarily the case for Donna. Like, we haven't
Yeah.
heard anything about that anyway.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah,
For the
it's
news, his dementia diagnosis was pretty new. This was, like, the first time he had gotten out, and, they were, like, dealing with that as a family.
yeah,
It does
yeah,
seem like most of them are in some kind of, like, freshly transitional phase where they're dealing with something.
yeah, definitely. I hope nothing happens to Mrs. Liu.
Me too.
I have a feeling that I don't have a good feeling for her in season 3.
I hope not. Oh,
Yeah.
I couldn't take it.
Yeah. I feel like the show is gonna shit on Kenny some more.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, that is it for episode 5. I can't believe we're already halfway through. We're a quarter of the way through our coverage already. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, but,
Not bad, no.
yeah, like, everyone let us know in the comments what your current theories are, what you thought of this episode, what you think of some of the theories that we've tossed around, what, yeah, let us know what you're thinking, because it seems like everybody's on a different page. Um, so I'm just hoping they're not recreating Lost, because that would be really disappointing.
Yeah. Would it ever?
Yeah, I think Harold Perrineau kind of, like, was very much against that, though.
Yeah.
So, he's like, "Yeah, if you guys want me to sign on, no, we're not doing that."
I gotta let me hear the whole story
Yes.
first. But they said
Um,
they said that they know what's happening and they know what the end of the story is. So
ah,
it's not like they're just trying to stretch to make it there. They're trying to make sure they get enough show to make it there.
yeah.
So
Yeah, for
fingers
sure.
crossed.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts, and, just join us next week for, our Frumly Fridays.
Yeah.
We'll be discussing episode 6 next week.
6.
Um, yeah, and oh, wait, we didn't do MVP and LVP.
Oh
Who is
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
who gets the
Real quick.
pancakes? Who are you giving pancakes to this week?
My MVP is gonna be Tom because I feel like his handling of Jade and his whole like Schrodinger's cat thing is what provides the impetus for like the rest of the season moving forward. Like I feel like that was a very important moment. And my LVP is probably gonna be Sarah because girl, come on.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
to know that wasn't the solution.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, my MVP, that one's tough. I might have to, actually, I'm gonna go with Boyd. I think my default is always gonna be
Yeah.
Boyd.
It's a tough call otherwise most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, he was just, he was so great with Christy, and,
Mhm.
um, he's,
He wasn't
yeah,
in very much of the episode, but he made a big impact in every scene that he was in.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, LVP, obviously Sarah. Sarah's going in the box. Sorry, Boyd, Sarah's going in the box.
If things were fair and just,
Yeah.
she hadn't been in that box.
Backup MVP, goes to Alma.
Also, excellent choice.
Yes. I would let her chew on my hair any day. Um, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see y'all next week. Take
Have a good
care.
one.